Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to the Smallville Retrospective. We are talking about season 4, episode 6. Transference. This episode better. Much better. I tell the climax. But overall it is pretty good. So Lex is invited to the prison by his dad, where it's shown that his dad has something in his hand he's going to use, and Clark thinks that uh, Lionel is going to kill Lex, so he jumps in. Turns out he has this stone, and when he touches Clark, he switches bodies with him. Now, of course, the first question that you're going to ask is, why was Clark there? And for the life of me, I don't remember if they even explained it. They don't, because they switch bodies. So I don't know why he was there. He was just there. I will say that there's two sides to this thing. Um, Tom Welling does a great job of portraying John Glover as Clark Kent. The whole, yes, of course, why not? The way he acts. But John Glover, on the other hand, I don't know. It just comes off as he's playing like he's just playing generic teenager. Like there's a scene with Martha where he's basically going, "Mommy, mommy, it's me, mommy." Basically, he's in not so many words, but you know, there's where he starts throwing out a story when he was a kid, and he just sounds like a crying teenager, like, "Mommy, it was me, and it's me, and I ran so fast, and you had to call Sheriff Ethan, and you said it would be okay." It's just like it comes out like it's just generic, like a generic kid. Not This is not Clark. Clark doesn't whine talk, not like that anyway. Some of the stuff that Lionel does in this episode is just cold. Like, he flirts with Chloe, almost seduces her to the point of kissing her, and then it's just like, yeah, you wish, and then walks off, and then just like the look on Chloe's face is like it's like all she ever wants is for Clark to love her, and just I do call bullshit on the wrap up scenes where like. So when that scene ends, he goes, "Miss Sullivan," and has his arms crossed behind his back, like Lionel does. It's like Tom Welling studied John Glover, the way he held himself and moved and everything, but John Glover was just portraying generic teenager. It's weird. It doesn't feel like Clark. But he walks out, he has a hand behind his back, goes, "Miss Sullivan." And to me, that should have tipped Chloe that there was something off. At the end of the episode, she and Lana are just mad at him. And what's more is they chose this episode for the reveal that she and Jason are in a relationship to Clark, when it's not Clark. And then the way that it's revealed to Clark is through a dialogue that she's confronting him like, "You didn't go and tell anyone, did you? I have no idea what you're talking about. Did you ever get out that me and Jason were a couple? You and Jason?" Like, it's just like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense that the moment where Clark finds out that they're together, it's not Clark. Wouldn't it be more emotional if Clark happened to walk in on them and it means something to him, and he actually toils with whether or not he should say something, and he says, "No, I won't say anything," other than it's Lionel, and he's like, "Well, it's none of my business," and then walks off. You're young, the whole thing. Lana does say at the end, she's like, "Oh, we are adults." Technically, she's 18. Yes, it means she's older than Clark. Clark's birthday's coming up at the end of the season. Sorry, I was doing the thumbnails, and I just got confused in my head thinking we were close. We're not. We're just the beginning, but. And to be in this episode 5, I just want to point out that there's a lot less Lois than I thought there was. She does come back. She does. She didn't need to, but she does. I think maybe, and this is my thought process the last 2 episodes, I think maybe they thought that was it. She was gone, she was going to call us, that was it. And then they told them, you know what, go ahead and use her, and they brought her back. I don't know. But, yeah. And so Lionel is in Clark's body and is now discovering the powers that he has. We get another, thing about his liver disease and that he's dying. And he, in the beginning, he said, I just want to say goodbye to you, Lex. And tell you I love you. And then that's a ploy just to, it's a distraction. Distraction! But yeah, and so now he's going around, he's dressing like Lionel in a suit and everything, and not like Clark. And people don't question why. Some do, like Martha questions it. She's like, are you going somewhere all dressed up? He's like, no, I just thought I'd take a break from the plaid, which, yeah. The fact that it takes till the end of the episode for Martha to realize something's wrong and this isn't it, like, you think his parents would notice. Jonathan is surprisingly absent for most of this episode. He's here and there. He doesn't see the Lionelisms at all until the end when Lionel comes for him as Clark. But, we get a guest starring spot from J.P. Manon, who I know as Curtis / the principal from Phil of the Future, Unjaga. And also he was I forget his name, but he was like the robot sidekick to Aaron Stone on Aaron Stone. I know J.P. Manon. He's also the principal, that douchey principal that wouldn't do anything about the bullying in not Clockstoppers. We're time travelers. We're time travelers. We're time travelers. What were they called? That, with Jason Dolly and the Chelsea Staub and the time... The Snowsuit Guys. That movie. I can't think of it. The Snowsuit Guys movie. The Minutemen. Minutemen. There it is. Minutemen. Yeah. He was the douchey principal in that movie who wouldn't do anything about the bullying. But yeah, he plays Lionel's cellmate, who it is implied that he was framed by Lionel to then be put into prison as his cellmate. He was framed for embezzlement and put in Lionel's as a cellmate as a way to help Lionel get out. That is implied. It's never outright stated, but it's implied that that's what it was. Because it's all a little too inky dinkle. And then after Lionel, he promises his lawyers will help him, and after Lionel gets what he wants, the lawyers stop calling him. And it's not till the end where Clark asks Lex for help that he gets out. And is met by Bridget Crosby, who I didn't think she played another appearance, but yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to correct something that I said earlier on. I said it was a black kryptonite that transferred them. No, it's one of the Kryptonian stones with the symbol on it. That's what it was. I was wrong. But, yeah. We also get dialogue in here between when Lana's telling Jason she's looking up Countess Margaret Isabel Thoreau, Countess Thoreau. And that they've retconned Lana's lineage, and apparently her mom's ancestors are from the same French village. So they're implying that Countess Thoreau was an ancestor. However, if she was burned as a witch at the stake, there's no way she could have children to be descendants. So that makes no sense. And part of this will we'll see flashbacks to the past where she's also portrayed by Kristen Cruick. That it's no. No, they're implying that she was her ancestor But it makes no sense because if she was burned at the stake, there would be no descendants. Lana wouldn't exist if that was the case. You know, a lot of movies and shows do this. And then, oh, she's your descendant. She was burned at the stake. And it's like, no. If if the descendant was killed in the past. See, Hellraiser Bloodline does this better than anything. Because one, it's a man, which means a man's progeny can be passed on. Whereas a woman, she has to give birth first, you know. If she gives birth and then she's killed and the kid's left, that makes sense. But in Hellraiser Bloodlines, Giuseppe, what's his face? What's his name? Lemarchand. Yeah. Lemarchand is killed, but his wife is pregnant. So that they show his wife is pregnant, so that means his progeny will live on. And then in the modern day setting, he's also killed. The version there, which is Merchant. I can't remember the first names. Jack. No, that's the son's name. His Merchant. He's killed. But he has a son, Jack, played by from Little Rascals. Is the Sandlight. By the way, you see that guy? He's swole now. He got the muscles. Anyway, and then that leads to the very future version. So, yeah, but here, they're saying that she's her ancestor. If she was burnt at the stake, there'd be no progeny. There'd be nothing. Unless she had a sister or something. They explain, oh, no, she had a sister. It was actually the ancestor. When I don't know. It's confusing, but they try to do that. That's the only real knowledge we get from that part. And yeah. Yeah. There's also a subplot with Lionel tried to liquidate his bank account, but because the voice identification doesn't work, he goes back to see Clark, and Clark tries to use the stone. You're not going to use that on me. And so he basically forces them to say his mother's maiden name, Mian, and then the account number to get what he wanted. Only to find out it's like, okay, so first of all, this is like $2 and some cents in the account. But then he says, no, I had $51 million in there. And they said, well, there was a withdrawal made for that exact amount 2 months ago. Wait. You just said there was $2 and some cents left in there. So how could the exact amount of what was in there be taken out if there's $2 left in? And that's not how bank accounts work. You can't take all of your money out unless you're liquidating it. But I guess. But if you're not liquidating your account, you have to leave a certain amount in. You can't just take it all out. You know what I mean? Confusing. Bank things. But they say the exact amount he said was taken out, but they also said there was $2 and something left. Well, then they didn't take the exact amount he said because there wouldn't be any left. And apparently Lex didn't liquidate the account because it's still there. Or clear out the account, whatever the thing is. So, yeah. All that for nothing. And so then he shows up at Lex's wanting the money. And now he gets it. It's his dad. He's like, Dad? Earlier when Lex took him home, he's like, you're so mean. He's your father. You know, the way he's talking. And I was already clued in. This is obviously Lionel. But we know that. We saw it. But Martha shows up because, like I said, she is invited by Lionel. And he tries to tell her that it's Clark. She doesn't listen. She doesn't believe him. Until then he tells the story. Then she believes him. She shows up with a meteor rock, which Lex somehow doesn't see. I guess. And Lionel doesn't see it either, because when he shows up at the farm and attacks Jonathan, he's like, what is it that makes me weak? I thought I was invincible on this body. What is it? I'll never tell you. He throws him across the freaking room, and there's no damages to his body later. Who knows? Excuse me, my throat's getting dry. Very good. Is watermelon lemonade. Very good. I'm in one now and I have two for later. I love these things. Zero sugar. They're the sparkling ice flavored water things with caffeine. Zero sugar. And it's only 5 calories, so it's not bad. This thing is sweating up a storm cloud. Zero fat, zero sodium, zero carbs, zero protein. Yeah, they're not bad. I love these things. Blue raspberry is my favorite, but I had too many of those this week, so I got different flavors. Anyway, so then we get to the climax. So while Lionel has Jonathan up against the wall, the phone goes off again, and the message is left by the cellmate saying, "Oh, Houston, we got a problem. You need to come back here. We need to talk." So my thought process was, "Oh, this is a trap so that Clark can touch him again." But no, because he's talking to him and he's like, "This switch isn't permanent. Eventually, you're gonna switch back." Which would have been kind of a dumb way to end it too. It's just like they switch, you know. But so he asked, well, "Where's the stone?" "Oh, the guards took it from me. They thought it was a weapon." Then a random ass prison riot breaks out for no reason other than this guy was pressuring Luther for money, and now he finally is going to kill him. That just makes no sense. So Clark as Lionel fights him off, beats this guy up. He's able to fight him off, and then like a whole riot thing starts after he does this. During this, Lionel comes in as Clark and goes after him. He holds him up, and then Lionel does this thing with his arm where he's supposedly been hiding the stone in his armpit the entire time, which makes no sense because he just beat up this criminal guy, this other prisoner. And if he was holding it in his armpit the entire time, it would have fallen out. So it makes no sense that he's hiding it there. Like, couldn't it have been his shoe or something? You know? It just makes no sense. He had to have the stone so he could switch back. And he does. And then we get the laziest way to write out a cop-out. It's a cop-out. Because we see a scene with Lionel where it's explained that his liver disease is magically gone. Because Clark was in his body and Lionel claims to have no memories of the last few days. Okay. But I still kind of call it bullshit because there's a scene him standing there and looking at Clark through the tear gas smoke. Like, he can see him there. But he claims to have no memory of the last few days, which I think is lying. I don't know. And he says that something inside of him changed. So they're implying that by Clark's consciousness, soul, whatever, transferring into him, it healed Lionel. I don't know. It's lazy writing. It's lazy writing just to get rid of the disease, instead of just killing off Lionel like you should have. Look, I already voiced my opinion on this. Once Lionel went to prison, we need to see him anymore. His character was done because, to be frank, they don't do anything with his character for the rest of the series. He's bounced around doing stuff that you think could be interesting, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. And then by the end, he's just there. When he dies in season 7, it's like, yeah, he wasn't really that important to begin with. It just doesn't understand. You know, if he was left to rot in prison for the rest of his life, that would be it. We didn't need to keep going back to him. John Glover is great, don't get me wrong. He's one of those characters that stuck around too long, kind of like Lana. We didn't need him. You know, we didn't need him. You know, and speaking of Lana, I was watching the Talkville podcast, and Rosemary had a point. Like, we don't need all this magic stuff. What if she just, found out that Chloe died, then came back for the funeral? And that's why she was there. And decided, you know what? I think I'm going to stay. And then Jason follows her. You know? The only thing then is Jason's actual motives, which I won't get into here because spoilers. But he has other motives. He's not just handsome football boyfriend guy like Whitney was. He has other motives. But yeah, that's the other thing is that his motives will. I guess he would have been generic jealous boyfriend number 2 or 3, 2. If you count the dude from Magnetic, it's 3. But yeah, so yeah, and then there's some wrap up stuff, and this is where so both Chloe and Lana are mad at him, which I think is magically erased by the next episode anyway. But I felt like if Chloe was more involved, it's like the Miss Sullivan thing tipped her off, and she starts questioning stuff and going to Martha and Jonathan and saying something off about Clark. There's something off. Something happened. He's not acting like Clark, and maybe she realized there was something. Maybe she was more involved. At least one of them should have known what was going on, right? Like, if Pete was there, he'd have figured it out. He'd have been the one to go to him, hey, something's wrong with Clark, But they don't do that. And there's all this, they're both mad at him, and it doesn't really, And again, like I said, the whole exposition, he basically learns about Jason over again because she just happens to mention it now. And it's like, if he had come across them earlier, it would have meant more than it being Lionel. But overall, this episode was actually pretty good. There's just some things that kind of hold it down, but it's not bad. It's one of the better ones to see the, Tom Welling doing a John Glover impersonation, and then John Glover's just doing generic teenager. It works. So what are your thoughts on this episode? Leave a comment, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.